Okay, welcome to the Circle of Love and Light. It's a wonderful time to be here. And I'm Jane Mountrose, your host. I'm here with my partner and husband, Philip. We're co-directors of Awakenings Institute, a nonprofit organization that's devoted to creating a more loving world. And I'm thrilled to be also joined by our co-host, Gretchen Comer, who is a healer and an energy healer, and she'll tell you more about her a little later. Um, Anyhow, so I think we're all enthusiastic believers in the power of love and light. And so we're here to generate more of it for ourselves and for everyone who's here with us. And we're pleased also and very grateful to you for joining us, whether you're live or later. Anytime is fine. And please, when you have a chance, just say hi and tell us where you're from, and feel free to comment and ask questions. We'd love to hear from you.
Right.
So, our topic today, which is one of our favorites, is manifesting your brightest future. So, we're going to talk about a few things about how we see that working from more than 30 years of experience in the field. And we're going to do a process, a really fun one that we do often, actually, often in the circle and often with ourselves and clients for bringing your gifts out into the world. So, this is an opportunity for all of us to light up our lives, to heal, to grow, and create a more loving world together. There is, of course, more power in us coming together than any of us have alone. So, this is a beautiful time actually to focus on something that you want to manifest. And together, we'll send that energy out. Before we start, as usual, I want to take a moment just to center ourselves. We all come from different times and places, and it's nice just to come into the moment so we can breathe. And if you're not driving, and if you feel like it, you can close your eyes for a moment and just connect in with your body. Get out of your head and into your body and into your heart. You can tap on that place in the center of your chest. This time is for you, for each of us. It's for each of us. It's our time. It's a time when you can be yourself. You're supported in being yourself. And you can dream. You can dream of a better world for yourself and for everyone. So just relax and open to the love. The love is all around us, and we invite all the angels and guides and masters who are supporting us, which is many, many with all of us here. We invite them to shower us with love and light as we experience this together. Okay. So Philip is going to start us. We have a few kind of pointers on manifesting your brightest future. We're going to start with those, and then we're just going to talk about all of us, our own perceptions and stories. So, Philip, would you like to start?
Yes, we have a little memory aid for manifesting, making it a little easier. We call it the 4 E's because it's easy and it's also exceptional. Those are a couple of bonus E's. It's also an alliteration and an acronym, 2 A's. So it's a 4-part, easy to remember approach to manifesting your dreams, which of course you want to come from a soulful place in doing that, a really heartfelt something. And it can be quite materialistic because it's here to make you more positioned to do the work you want to do and have the comforts and resources to do that. So one of the 4 E's is E for elevate, elevate. So the idea is to elevate your perspective to the truth in your heart and soul. And this may be breathing, kind of calming down, as we were doing a moment ago, being in a place where you can be clear and focused and in the moment to manifest your dreams, because part of it is that focus and that kind of like a pressure point, getting that right touch, that right connection here. So you're grounded, you're elevated in this calm place. It's interesting, when you're calming, you rise up too. As you breathe and relax, you open up. And that's why we call it E for elevating. 2 is explain. So that is, what is it you'd like to manifest? Better health, career, purpose, wealth, relationships, something else, communication. And there may be many things, but pick one.
Right. For today, it's better to focus on something, just one thing.
So the idea is we're kind of setting up a clear something we want to manifest, which may turn out to be quite different the way it appears, but at least we have the energetic intent of, I would like a better career. I would like a better relationship. You know, we might not know exactly what that career is or that person is, but we have a sense and an energetic connection to it. So we're putting that out there, kind of like a beacon or a lighthouse, pulsing it out there. So we got to clear, explain, E, elevate, we're calm, explain, we have something we want to manifest. 3, expand, the third E. And we sometimes have a go to the mountaintop, go to a high place in our mind, an apex, we call it sometimes, mud to mountaintop. And it could be anything where you feel more expansive, more connected with the universe. To put that out there, the big picture, to allow it to manifest and come to you. Because then you can use all the resources and all the possibilities out there, rather than just a kind of a preconceived, very narrow view of things. So E is expand. And that might be a process or a visualization like we'll do today. And the 4th E for manifesting is expect. So there's a certain amount of expectations. Michael Jordan said, you know, I couldn't have created great things if I didn't expect it first. So we want to take what we call inspired action, appropriate actions, things that would follow up whatever it is we're manifesting. This may become clear as we go through this process. What is, quote, your next step? And that's pretty much all you can do. It might be making a call, reading an article, resting, relaxing, sleeping on it, just letting it come to you. That's your next step. You've taken the right action, even if it's just to pause, to let it come. Or it could be something very specific, writing something or videotaping or connecting with someone, your next step. So that's the E, expecting it, and by taking action, instead of just thinking it's just going to magically appear without you doing anything to manifest. So those are the 4 E's: elevate, explain, expand, and expect.
Right. Yeah. And it is, I think, part of being out there and doing things also is then you're open to the possibility of synchronicity, which is really where, from my experience, I think from our experience, Philip and me at least, and Gretchen will share hers, the greatest things that have happened haven't been what we thought was going to happen, but we were out there making doing things to manifest, and then something would appear magically, or a group of things would appear. So it can be very magical and mystical. And I'm looking forward, Gretchen, to hearing from you. I know you mentioned that manifestation is one of your favorite topics. So what would you like to share?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. This is such a fun topic for me. This is something that is dear to my heart as well. It's something that I practice daily. And there's so many components to it. You know, there's so many wonderful things to manifestation. It's a beautiful combination, really, of entraining your awareness and living in your heart and having gratitude. And
Mm-hmm.
the gratitude part is very important to me. And I feel like that's something that really brings you into your center, that really brings you into your heart, is gratitude. It's one of the quickest ways, I think, even if you're not having a great day, even if you're not having a good experience, it's something that can always bring you back down to that soulful place.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me too, it's really about the unexpected opportunities that come your way and really seeing them for the value that they are. And that's happened to me on so many synchronous occasions. Things have manifested not in any way that I thought they were going to manifest,
Right, right.
and ended up being really beautiful, unexpected experiences. And then looking back in retrospect, realizing that's exactly what I needed at that time. And so it's wonderful. It works. It is a phenomenal thing to do. And I know for me, my husband and I have a business, and we do sound healing, and we offer sound baths. And if you had told me 20 years ago that I had to give away free stuff to make money, I would never have believed you. But now it's just such a wonderful thing to be able to give free services. And because we tapped into that, we had all these synchronous, unexpected things happen where
Right.
people were telling their friends about it, and they're going back. And so not only are we getting wonderful free advertising for our services, but people are feeling very heart connected. And all of a sudden we started getting people trying to stuff money in our pockets as they're walking out, or saying, hey, I have friends that would love this. And they, of course, they would pay for your services. And so because we were open to those opportunities, because we aligned our heart with something that not only we have a lot of joy in doing, but we aligned with that. And we said, sure. People would say, we're having an offering. Would you mind giving a sound bath for free for this group or that group? And we just said yes. So for me, a lot of it is just saying yes as well
Mm-hmm.
to those opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. And I think that what you were saying about gratitude is very important too. It's you can be grateful for things you have and also for the things that are coming to you. And it is one of the keys really is to be in the state that you would imagine yourself in if what you wanted was here now. So gratitude is very elevating. It opens your heart. It brings you into that heart space, which is really important. And of course, like you said, it's just so amazing. It's really magical when you open to what might occur and then just be available for it in some ways, be taking some kind of action to be available for what you want to manifest, to show itself to you for the thing that you might not be expecting.
Yeah, I think that's a hard place. You have to have a lot of trust in not only yourself, but you need to trust that things are going to work out the way that you're dreaming. And so if you can really feel that, through the five senses, really tune into what that's going to look like, what that can be. I think it helps you stay on track as you go towards your goals. So that's a beautiful thing too. And all of those, as you're going, those are all beautiful experiences. You're not asking, you've got to enjoy the journey as much as the end result.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know that years ago, when we wrote some books, and when we started writing, it was in the late 1990s. We decided we wanted to self-publish, but we didn't know how we would sell our books. And then lo and behold, Amazon.com came along. And we had no idea what any of that was at the time, but it presented all these new opportunities emerged. So it can be, it's like that. What is the next new opportunity that might emerge? Who knows? Philip, were you going to say something?
Well, I was just saying that I was thinking of Richard Wiseman's, I think his book, The Science of Luck, he wrote years ago, and he found that people who were, quote, lucky were very optimistic and expectant of things to happen. And they would just have that, it's going to happen. They didn't know how. And one guy was out of work, and he didn't know how he was going to get a job. And he was just in an elevator with someone and struck up a conversation. He was very friendly. And the person offered him a job right there, a very good job. I mean, just kind of out of the blue. And that's sort of the synchronous way. It just things happen to you, not always the way you think they will, and not when you think they will, which is part of allowing for that.
Right.
But if you're willing to be patient and open and expectant, and know that it could be very different in a different time zone. What is that phrase? Like it's, it's on God's timeline. There's a phrase, something to that effect.
Right.
So things are going at a different pace than a kind of our more linear left brain egoistic way of looking at the way things are.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, something that happened to us that I thought was so unexpected that it was funny. I mean, I got a lot of laughs out of it. And this was not too long ago, a few years ago, maybe. I had some free time. So I thought, well, with Awakenings Institute being a nonprofit organization, I thought, well, I'll check into grants, which I had never done a lot of. I had researched a little bit about it, but not too much. So I started researching it again, and again found actually it's very complicated. But I was poking around, looking at different things, and I was looking at websites of different nonprofits, and I came across this one website of a small nonprofit, and it was people who helped younger people who needed a mentor. And it was kind of like they would offer some free mentoring to these people. And at the bottom of their page, which was very nice, it said that they were supported by Google for nonprofits. And so I thought, well, what is Google for nonprofits? I'd never heard of it. But I went and looked it up. And what I found out is that Google provides a number of different opportunities for nonprofits. And one of the ones that is very dramatic and quite remarkable is that they provide free Google ads to nonprofits. So Philip called and set it up with them for us to have the free Google ads. And he came back to me and I can't remember why don't you explain it? Because I can't remember exactly how you explain it.
After speaking with the Google representative, who's probably from India or something, and he kind of explained to me, and it took me a while to really understand what he was saying, because this was all very new and strange. And so in reporting to Jane, I said, so he said it was going to be $358 for the Google ads. And she said, oh, $358 a month. That's really good. And I said, no, he said $358 a day for Google ads. They do add up quickly, by the way, if you actually have an account, as it turns out. But that was the manifestation.
Yeah. So they provide, as kind of an overview, $10,000 in free Google ads every month for people like us, for nonprofits. And we use them for a variety of different things, for both for the services that we provide to introduce people to them. We offer a lot of free ebooks and different things to people, and just ways to get the word out, our message of love. And like the Circle of Love and Light, we haven't sent any Google ads to it yet. We just haven't gotten to it, but we can send some Google ads for people to join us in the Circle of Love and Light too, and to support that mission. But that was something completely unexpected, but it was like, well, that, what might the next thing be?
Yeah. So a lot of things are going to be what you don't have any idea even exists, but due to your desire and those 4 E's of elevating and explaining and elevating and then taking action, you, like a magnet, you can find these things, the 6 degrees of separation, and suddenly, you're with the Google ads or whatever it is you're looking to manifest,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me too, it's connecting with people. It's about, putting yourself out there a little bit, but also just connecting with friends. Friends are actually a good font of wisdom and information. And,
right.
Yeah, we've made some beautiful connections that we wouldn't have considered, but people are really willing to help too. They're willing to help support you.
They like that.
Yeah, exactly. So I think making those connections too is important, because that's how you get those unexpected opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes it's hard to believe that what you want might be possible, which is why we have the part about expanding your potential. And we
Mhm.
do teach a lot of different healing techniques for our students and recommend those for manifestation too. We just last week, I think, on the circle, we did a gathering where we focused on EFT, the emotional freedom techniques. You can always go back and look at that if you want to learn a little bit about healing. Um, but going to what we're going to do today and going to a more expansive place actually sometimes and many times actually just resolves it on its own. This is a process, the mud, we call it mud to mountaintop, or the apex process, going to the apex kind of your reality. I use it a lot with clients too, because just going up to this mountaintop in your imagination can change everything, and it can get you into that kind of heart-centered space very easily, where you can get a different perspective on whatever it is that you're concerned about. It's a great relief, and also it just shows we have a lot of power. I think that's something we minimize sometimes in our minds. We think we're so small, we don't have much power, but we really do. We actually have we've written a book on manifestation, and we created what we call the roadmap, our manifestation roadmap, which has 7 steps, and we'll be talking about that actually this week. I think Philip will probably tell you at the
Yeah,
end of the
we're doing
call.
a
We'll
little
tell you a little
webinar
bit about
explaining
that.
that. Yeah.
Right. So you can take it into more depth. And I think from that perspective, also the place to start is to claim your own power, because a lot of us we've been in communities of people where it's kind of like this is how things are, and it can't be any other way, and then you realize, well, maybe it could, which is what we're suggesting. And it's kind of like moving out of the herd of humanity into a much more expansive reality where miracles can happen. And so that first step is really empowerment. If you want to go into 7 steps.
Right.
And it is important. It is an important point too.
Yeah, it's a spiritual tool to manifest. People manifest. We're manifesting all the time, often quite unconsciously, or just very routine, mundane kind of things. Manifest enough to eat and a car to drive to work or whatever. So some very commonplace things we take for granted. And then a lot of things that we don't want is sort of unintended stuff. And in the law of attraction, which was very popular a while back, based on Wallace Wattles' brilliant work, The Science of Getting Rich, it really uncovered some keys to creating a better life, although there were some distortions and misunderstandings and misuses of that phenomenon, the law of attraction. And I'd say 2 areas which are really missed that weakened the whole thing. It's good it got out there, but it sort of in some ways undermined itself because of these 2 missing components. One, as Jane was referring to, is the healing, the clearing. So if you have a lot of fear, if you have a lot of doubt, if you have a lot of self-criticism, et cetera, that will interfere with things, judgments. And then the other part, which we mentioned earlier, which was that that expecting of taking action. A lot of people didn't think that they had to take action, or it had to be very linear
Right.
and left-brained about, if I do X number of things, my manifestation will occur. And it's not that linear and rigid. It's much more expansive and fluid.
Right. And if you expect it to happen through synchronicity, which is what seems to happen from what I can tell, it's not going to be very likely that it'll happen if you're sitting on your bed reading a book all the time. It's a good step. That might be the next step for you, but then you'll want to actually be more active in some way to invite what you want to come to you. And of course, if you don't believe it's possible, then it's probably not possible too. So that's why it's so helpful to go to the mountaintop and do the clearing.
Right. Yeah, and there is a certain kind of things are pretty amazing, the possibilities, and there are some things which are so kind of far out, the changing city hall or defying gravity. There's some things that may not really be possible on the physical level, or things that are just so unrealistic perhaps for you. And perhaps if you've been if you failed, if you've bitten, you don't want it, you're gun shy, you don't want to try anything again. And it may be just because you didn't understand it, or you really weren't, it may not have been the right approach, or the right time. It might have not been realistic. I'm going to find my perfect whatever.
And you also want to be supported in what your heart and soul want. Not like we've done a lot of different teleclasses and things on manifestation, and sometimes people will ask questions like, or we'll invite questions. And I remember one fellow, he said, well, I need to create $20,000 by the end of the month. It's like, well, I don't know about that. Is that your soul calling? Or it might be, I don't know if it's a gambling debt or what this is, but you have to really be looking at it from that space and understand from that kind of soulful place, really just from your heart, from a loving place, why it is that you want to create whatever it is. And then go from there too, because that's that clarity that you want to have when you're explaining it to yourself, and you're also explaining it to the universe. Like, this is what I'm intending to create. And like I said, it may not be what happens at all. It might be something completely different, but the universe is looking at it and finding what is really the very best possibility for you, which might be much better than you thought. Well, like the Google ads, I thought the Google ads were a great solution to when I was looking for grants. Like, this is a great thing. This is probably even better. I didn't even know about that. So any other thoughts before we do the mud to mountaintop process?
Yeah, I was just going to say thank you for saying that about the clarity, because I don't think that we often spend a lot of time getting to the core of why we want something.
Mm-hmm.
Why it is so important, or why on the surface we may think it's really important, and then we just look a little deeper. Sometimes we'll find out that maybe that's not exactly what we're looking for. We're looking for some other character or trait or quality that we're missing from our lives. And so it's always good to do that reflection, that self-reflection, get to the core of why, what is this going to bring you? Is it going to bring you joy? Is it going to bring you positivity? Is it going to connect you with your heart? So thank you for saying that. So I feel like that's a really important aspect of it, is really just getting very clear. It doesn't mean planning every little last detail about how it's going to happen, but it's at least a starting point. And I know that has been huge for me on so many levels. It's just getting very clear, and often starting off with feeling that I wanted something that felt very important, and then getting to the core of it and realizing that it was actually like 3 or 4 different things, and it was really mostly about the quality of joy or love or some aspect that I thought was going to make me happy. So I feel like that's important to get that clarity.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and I think that makes me think of money, because it's such a good example, and we all deserve abundance and prosperity. It's not to say we don't, but it's interesting when you say, well, I want to be wealthy, or people often say, I want to have a lot of money. And you ask, well, what is it? And this is, I think, getting to what you were saying, Gretchen, is what is it you really want? They might want security. They might want freedom. Freedom is the most common one from everything that I've seen. When people say, I want to be wealthy, they want freedom. And there's nothing wrong with wanting more prosperity and abundance too. but you might be able to create more freedom now. It's possible you can create more freedom just by healing some of the the wounds that are holding you down, or just finding things that will make you feel more free. I know that we keep ourselves in boxes unnecessarily, and when we start being creative in our thinking, we have more freedom than we realize, and we can create more than we realize. So that's just one example. Did you have any other thoughts on that, Philip?
No, but that's a good introduction to doing the process
Right.
for more freedom.
Right. And it is, again, it's very common if you're reaching out, like for Philip and me, when we really started going into all of the healing and the work that we do now years ago, we had no idea what was going to happen. And I think we did need a lot of healing, and we needed to have some clarity on what we wanted to create. But the results have been just much more remarkable, and I would say miraculous, than I could ever have imagined, the way that our lives have changed.
Mm-hmm.
And it does start with, well, elevating your perspective into that soulful place from down in the dumps, kind of, and then being clear, explaining to yourself and to the universe what it is that you want to create, being open for how it might not be at all what you expect, and not, you'll never know how it's going to happen either. I think you mentioned how there, Gretchen, that you can't know how it's going to happen.
Right.
You might think you know.
Right, but that's actually what's so exciting about it. Once you start opening up to those unexpected opportunities and say yes to them, just take a little risk and say yes to them. I think that's where a lot of the fun comes in, because you never know quite how they're going to play out, but they're always positive because you're aligned with it and you're aligned with the end goal. And so how could it not be a beautiful experience?
Right. And then, of course, that's when you expand, you go into a more expansive place where there are different realities. And that's what we're going to point out with this process too. So we're going to actually start right now and just imagine kind of where the herd of humanity is. Kind of, a lot of people are wallowing in the mud. And when you think of what you want to create, it might generate some fear and worry and anxiety, like, well, can I really go from the life that I have now to the life that I want? A life that has more freedom, that has more potential, more creativity, whatever it is that you want. And so we have to acknowledge when we are in the mud. And you may be there, maybe you aren't, but just for kind of a starting place where humanity is in general, and the opportunities, the way that humanity perceives them, miracles aren't in there, and synchronicity is not in there. It's a limited place. So we can just imagine starting from that place. And if you are experiencing some fear or whatever it is, frustration about whatever it is that you want to create now, just acknowledge that from this place. And if you feel like it, you can measure how strong it is between 1 and 10 now, and we'll see how it changes as we go through this process. But just from that place, in the herd of humanity kind of wallowing around in the mud, just imagine now that you can breathe in lighter energy, which you can, and allow yourself to breathe that lighter energy now. And you can close your eyes if you're not driving. If you're not driving, you shouldn't be doing guided visualization anyhow. Or if you're driving, you shouldn't be doing guided visualization. But just for those who can, close your eyes and breathe. And as you continue to breathe, breathing in that lighter energy, imagine that you're becoming so light, just lighter and lighter, so light that you can start to drift out of that mud. Just up into the sky, beautifully, safely. And if there's any mud on you, it can just drip back down there so you feel lighter and lighter as you go. And we're heading for a panoramic view on a lofty mountaintop, one of those beautiful mountaintops that has a 360-degree view of the world. It's just a beautiful, way high up place. So you can just breathe that light energy as we go up there. And also you might feel like your heart is opening. I feel that. And also know that on the mountaintop, you're not alone. We're going there together. And together we have more power and we have the energy to support each other in expanding. So we arrived together on the mountaintop. And just notice what you notice, what you feel there. Imagine looking out at that expansive view. It's like the whole world is laid out before you. And you can experience from this lofty place the majesty of that. How amazingly beautiful this world is. And breathing in that air, that lofty air, pure and fresh. Feeling a gentle breeze. And noticing now how you feel relative to how you felt when you were in the mud with the herd of humanity. Because here you do have freedom just in that you're not around all of those other thought patterns. Here you can open to the divine, the angels and guides and masters who are all around us, sending us love and light. And the sun that's shining above you, the sun which is metaphorically our source, shining down on us. And just allow that sun to shine down the perfect energy for you in this moment. To believe in your manifestation, to believe in yourself. To open fully to what might be possible, to possibly a miraculous opportunity that may be emerging for you. And again, just notice if this is any different for you than it was before we started this process, or before you breathed in the lighter energy and started rising up here. I feel better, and I thought I felt pretty good before. It's such a beautiful, beautiful view. And I'd love to hear from you, Gretchen and Philip, what you noticed on the mountaintop.
I saw us all having a big picnic. I saw just a lot of green rolling valley and rivers and lots of blue sky and the warm sun, and we were all sitting in on this nice green lawn and blankets spread, and there was lots of joy, and kids were running around and dogs barking and people laughing. It just felt like a really nice casual place to hang out. So it was beautiful.
That sounds wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Philip?
Yeah, I felt very relaxed and open and expansive and accepting. It seems to be that's the place to manifest from when you're trying to force things or narrow things into imposing your will on something that doesn't seem to work. Actually, it backfires and it gets a lot of frustration. But when you're expansive and open, it feels very wonderful in itself. And it's kind of interesting. It feels very contenting, even though you're seeking to manifest, you feel very content and accepting in the moment.
Mm-hmm. Well, and for me, I'm looking at manifesting a better world, a more loving world. It feels possible here. And that's what we want to be, in a place where what we want to manifest feels possible. And open to it occurring however it's going to occur. And that feels good on the mountaintop. That feels good. It feels okay to do that. Like I don't have to try to force it. I don't have to beat anyone else out to get to the top. I can just be here and be creative and open my heart.
To me, it's kind of a magical place. It's like a place of possibility, endless possibility, you know,
Right.
Rising above all that mindset that kind of keeps us in limitation, and then getting this loftier view really just makes me feel like so much more is possible. And it really is like a sanctuary for possibility up on that mountain. You know, so many potential things that can happen. So
yeah. Yeah. And it is, I think there are a couple of things in this visualization that are very powerful. The first one is imagining rising up does actually elevate your state just almost automatically, that's a good thing. And then that expansive view also expands your mind. And it's something to be aware of in your daily life. If you can just look at an expansive view now and then during the day. Philip and I walk our dogs early in the morning, usually when the sun's coming up, because we want to welcome the sun. And we walk down the street from where we live, and there's a nice park and you can just see quite a distance in the park. And then of course the sun's coming up. So just a beautiful, very expansive view, and it feels good. And there might be any of a number of places you could imagine being on a hillside overlooking something, or another magical one is the idea of being on a beach at sunset. You know, if you can actually go there, that's good. If you can just imagine it in your mind, it's wonderful. You know, that's a special place. So many of us imagine a special place. What would that be? You know, a special expansive place for you, where you can just go anytime. And it could be the mountaintop. It could be where we are right now together.
Fills you with wonderful energy. And the follow up on the 4 E's, where we started that expansion process, Jane just shared that really nice process. You take that and then to sit with that or see where it leads you for your next step. And to go back to that Google ad story we told earlier, I would imagine Jane was in that kind of expectant place after the expansion of wanting to find a grant at the time, but being open. If she wasn't open, she probably wouldn't have seen that little link, that little words on the webpage that said sponsored by Google nonprofits. You know, if she was just focused on grants, that may have not, you know, she might have been on the page and never have seen it, you know?
Right. Or wondered about it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, you need to be wondering, you know.
Yes.
I think if you look at quantum physics, the idea of a wave or a solid, I guess.
Wave or particle.
A wave or a particle. I like to imagine being in a state, it's my desired state is to be in a place all the time, really, as much as I can, of pure potential, I call it, which is really where everything's open, like and expansive, like being on the mountaintop, with no rules in my mind about how what I'm wanting is going to happen, or what might actually happen. I as a healer, that's one of the things that I use as really the foundation for me of the work that I do, because I want to be in that place for my clients. I don't know what the best thing is for them. You know, for me to to try to guide them in one way or another, or how the healing might occur. I don't know how it's going to happen or what the best possible way is. I want to be in that place of pure potential where it can become what it wants to be. And it feels good too. It's very freeing.
Right. You're riding the waves of reality
Right.
to explore new realities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what makes it enjoyable, though. That's what makes it so enjoyable to be able to ride that wave and just trust it's going to lead somewhere magnificent. So,
Mm-hmm.
and it does. It does time and again.
Right. 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 And you do have to, I think you keep mentioning trust. You do have to trust. Trust in I like to say trust in the divine. And it really is in all of the beings of light and our source energy to support us in being our best.
We have lots of support. Lots of support. I firmly believe that.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Yeah, I do too. That's the way I experience it. Yeah, it's wonderful. And when we look at the goal of the circle of love and light, which is to broadcast more love and light out into the world, it starts with each of us. It starts with us just emanating love and light. Sometimes I think it's fine if you want to imagine. I have actually in my drawer here, I have a globe, and I like to imagine that I'm sending love to the world, but just being love for the world is okay too.
You've got the whole world in your hands.
I do.
I do the
I
same.
bought I bought I think a dozen of these. I have a bunch of worlds.
I keep heart rocks on my desk, and
Mhm.
that also it's for grounding, and it's also to remind me, that love is all around. It's everywhere. It's underfoot. It's above you. It's all around. So we can just connect with it at any time.
Mhm. Right. Right. And Philip and I have talked quite a bit. Well, we we've been married for 40 years, so we do talk quite a bit. um, but we have talked quite a bit and more in recent years about meditation and making really your life that meditation of actually, when you think of it, just returning to love, breathing, stopping like we did actually at the beginning of the circle a little while ago. If you find yourself in a momentum and maybe whatever it is, anxious or something that's driving you out of the moment, just to breathe love into your heart. You can tap yourself here. We do the reset, that's you can start tapping, and you tap all the way across the top of your head in a nice breath. And you can use it with a miracle reframe. Anything is possible. And this is actually opening your mind. And miracles are happening now. You can just tap without, you don't have to say that, but it feels good. I think that's a phrase that actually is very enlivening. And just bring love and light into the moment as much as you can. The way I imagine it is that there are all kinds of little sparks of love and light around the world, and we're becoming brighter all the time, to the point where the world would just be inundated with love and light, where there will be so much of it that people have to buy in, have to give up all of that hatred and warring and all of that stuff. In a loving world, we wouldn't have any of that. We wouldn't have poverty. It just is so obviously, to me, it's so obviously the solution to everything. The environment would be taken care of because we all care for everything and everyone. And just imagine all the happy people. And it does feel good. And I think it feels good just as an individual to know that you can make a difference, because every one of us matters. Every one of us is voting for the world that we want to create. And some people actually are not voting consciously, unfortunately, but we can, those of us who know we can.
And it may take a small number of people who are consciously bringing in more love to make a big difference to the larger number of people too.
Mm-hmm. Right. There's the 100th monkey theory, which I don't know if it's true or not, but
the idea though is rather profound.
mm-hmm.
However,
Well, and
scientific.
you told me about the Renaissance that
I've heard it said that there's only maybe 1,000 people who really participated in the Renaissance to create that new enlightened period in history. It wasn't like everyone was participating in the Renaissance, and Leonardo da Vinci and Raphael and all the amazing things that happened there. It was actually a small number of people, but enough to make that difference and that shift in the world.
Mm-hmm. Right. So you can be part of a shift too. All of us can. Mm-hmm. Any other thoughts about that, Gretchen?
I was just gonna say, I think that's part of manifesting. It's very empowering, is to know that we each have it within us. You don't need any special traits. You don't need any special skills. This is something that's beautifully accessible to everybody, and
mm-hmm.
Just taking, and training your brain to live in those the positivity and to connect with your heart, I think are very important. But that's what's always just amazed me. You can be anybody and you can do this. You can manifest, and how accessible. It just really shows how magnificent we all are. As you say, Jane, we all are magnificent beings, and I think that's just an important thing to remember too. Right there, that gives you permission to manifest. Just believing and knowing that you are right there. You have the power to do it. So,
mm-hmm.
so empowering, and that's one of the reasons why I love it.
Mm-hmm. Right. And the best time to broadcast your whatever it is you want to manifest, your desire out to the world. I can see us on the mountaintop saying, and I'm creating just to have that in your mind, that when you're in a higher state, when you're in a more joyful, loving, elated place, that's the best time to be thinking about what it is that you're creating. And of course, to be in that place as often as you can.
Right.
Yeah. It's so wonderful. And again, I think just being a loving person is so valuable, because you are the light. Then you are the light for everyone else. So, okay, well, it looks like that. Philip, did you have any final thoughts?
No, just we could just let people know how to follow up with what we're sharing today.
Okay, so Gretchen, would you like to tell people how they can learn more about you and your work?
Sure. Thank you. So you can find me at spiraljourney.net. I run a business called Spiral Journey Holistic Life Services, and we offer a lot of different holistic services, including holistic coaching and healing. You can also find me on Facebook under Spiral Journey Holistic Life Services, and I'm happy to answer any questions. If you go and sign up for my email on my website, you immediately get access to free meditations and guided visualizations. And so I encourage you to go there and get your free stuff. Go grab your free stuff.
That sounds good. And if you want to know more about the Circle of Love and Light, we have a website. It's at circleofloveandlight.org. You can go there and read a little bit more about us, and you can also actually become a member. You can join in, and you'll receive some free gifts there too. Philip, do you want to share a little bit more about how people can find out more about us and our manifestation?
Okay, right. We are this week, if you're listening, currently having a free manifesting overview of our upcoming course, of a very interesting webinar of the keys to manifesting, going a little more of an overview. I think people, if you like this, you'd really like the free webinar on Wednesday. And to enroll free into that webinar is gettingthrough.org, getting thru.org/life life-coach/manifesting-course. So that's
Right. And
getting,
you put that in the
I
comments
put it
too
in the
for people.
comments. Yeah,
And
getting,
also how to get to Gretchen's
I put that in,
site.
in the
Yeah.
comments for Gretchen. That's
Yeah. So you
getting,
can
yeah,
follow those links.
yeah, I put the links, getting thru.org/life-coach/manifesting-course is that free webinar. And we do have like a website devoted to holistic life coaching and the manifesting course at tinyurl.com/HOL-coach, tinyurl.com/HOL-coach.
Mm-hmm. And in that webinar also, we'll go through all of the 7 parts of the roadmap, an overview of those, which
Yes, success
takes it
manifesting.
a little further and deeper into our processes for manifesting. And we'll be actually doing a healing demonstration. I don't know if you said that, but
yeah, a live manifesting coaching healing demo, which is always interesting to watch.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And also for the circle, there are some ways that you can support the circle. We hope that you'll join us again. You can also like our page on Facebook and follow our page if you want. You can share this video with your friends, which would be wonderful. And you can invite your friends to join you in the circle again another time, which would be wonderful too. So also something that I like to do at the end of our gathering, and something I like to do in my own life, is to send the love and light forward, and to send that manifestation forward through the coming week and beyond. Just imagine the love and the light filling all of the time and space that you'll be in for the next week. And imagine your manifestation, like sending that forward into the future and allowing that to blossom. And wishing everybody a wonderful week. And again, we have our greatest gratitude for being here and being a source of love and light. So have a wonderful week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.